Right. Okay, remember how last time we turned to the table of contents and found that? Everybody turn to the table of contents and hold your book for me so I can see that you're there. Very good. Thank you, Zayla. Thank you. Make sure everybody's got it. Almost. Your book's okay, thank you. Okay, so I think everybody is there. What page is that on?
44.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so this is what it looks like, right? Everybody has it on there. So if you're looking for the burning of Washington, D.C., what chapter is that?
Chapter 6.
Chapter. Okay, now if you look to the right, what page is it on? Everybody raise your hand. Raise a quiet hand. Raise a quiet hand. What page is it?
54.
Thank you very much. Okay, so just from the title, since it's called The Burning of Washington, D.C., what do you think is going to happen? Quiet hand. What do you think might happen in this chapter by looking at the title?
Quiet hand.
Is taken down the frame and just Washington, and then they run out safely. And then the British come and they burn down the
Think they're going to burn it down?
Well, wasn't that what happened in our last story
And then the rain gonna come down.
that we read before?
And then the clouds gonna be
So
gone.
that's what happened in our last story, but now what do you think is going to happen? The burning of Washington, D.C., what do you think is going to happen? Raise your hand. What do you think?
The White House gonna be burnt down.
Is that what you thought too, Earl Tass? Yeah,
Like
the White House going to get burned down?
Do you think something else is going to be burned
No,
down?
Malcolm says that.
The White House is gonna blow down, then it's gonna rain.
It's going to thunderstorm or something so that the fire goes out?
That's a good answer.
Okay, so before we get started, we'll look at some vocab in this chapter real quick. Okay, let's look at these vocabulary words. So don't start just yet. We're going to read these before we get started.
Okay. So charge. What charge? To rush into. Did anybody know what charge meant before? So if they're going to rush into something, they're going to charge. Who does that normally? What do you think, Enzo? Okay. The soldiers, they're going to charge into a house, right? They're going to charge in there.
Like fire.
Maybe.
So the army does that, right? Okay. What about toast?
Not just the bread. Have you ever heard toast mean something other than breakfast?
When someone makes a toast, what do they do?
They hit the grass.
Then they hit their spoon, and then what do? Raise their glass. Okay, so to taste something, you raise your glass. Then we got ransack. Without looking at this, who thinks they know what ransack means? That's a hard word.
Don't forget to look at your computer.
Search.
What do you think ransack means?
Search in order to.
Maybe on you.
What's that fucking?
Search in order to steal and cause damage.
Okay, so ransack is to search.
Sorry, you steal to take stuff. So if someone ransacks your house, they're going to go in there, they're going to take your stuff.
They ain't gonna take my stuff.
What about torch?
So these are wood that burns at one.
Okay, so people carry torches, right?
When it's really dark, they carry it so they can see.
See light. Drape.
It's a curtain.
Curtain. Heavy blow. So heavy blow, that's hard. That's hard to deal with, right? Suit. What about suit?
The black hat left behind when something burned.
Okay, so it's like ash. It's like the black stuff that gets on your skin and stuff when there's a fire. Yeah.
Ashes
Nasty
from
stuff.
fire.
Okay, so go ahead and open to page. What page? 54. Thank you.
55.
Put it in your can read it.
Hold up page 54 so I can see that you're there real quick. Just so I can check. Make sure I didn't read the wrong thing.
Hold up 54.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so I think everybody other than Earl Tejas has it. Page 54, dude. Like everybody else has it. So we'll read, okay?
No.
Give me 5 real quick. Give me 5, give me 5, give me 5. Back table, give me 5. Back table. Okay. We're reading. Read along, but don't talk, okay? Well, you can listen, you can hear. Use your fingers. Okay. Chapter 6, the burning of Washington, D.C. The British Army marched into Washington, D.C. The British soldiers were angry because the U.S. Army had burned York, the capital city of Canada. They planned to get back at the Americans by burning the U.S. Capitol building. The British soldiers went to the Capitol building. This was where the U.S. Congress met. They set it on fire. Then they marched down the hill to the president's house. The British arrived just after Dolly Madison left. They broke down the doors and charged inside.
Okay. So, which building did the British burn down to get back at the U.S. Army?
The White House.
The White House? That's not what we read.
The U.S.
Capitol building. Does anybody remember what charged me? Russian. Good job.
Very good.
Okay.
The president's house was empty. In the dining room, the table had been set for dinner. The British general sat down with some of his men. They ate dinner. They drank some wine, too. As a joke, they toasted President Madison. They lifted up their wine glasses and thanked him for the wine. After dinner, the British soldiers started smashing things. They smashed the dishes. They smashed the table. They smashed the chairs. The soldiers ran up and down in the president's house looking for things to steal. They took the spoons and forks. They took the buckles from Miss Madison's shoes. They even took the love letters her husband had sent her. The house was ransacked. Then the British general ordered his men to set the house on fire. The soldiers lit their torches. They went down from room to room. They lit the drapes on fire. They burned the beds. They burned the desks and the chairs. They even burned Mrs. Madison's dresses.
Okay, so how do you think the British soldiers felt about the Americans? Why do you think they did that? They felt good with the Americans? They were happy with them, you think?
They were mad because when they came,
They were mad.
and they burned my
What do you think, Hayden? They were mad? They were mad. So that's why they burned it. You think they were upset? Sad? Angry. So what do y'all think is going to happen now? Now that they're in there and they've stolen all their stuff, what do you think is going to happen? They burned things. It already says they burned stuff.
They steal.
They already stole stuff. Now what do you think they'll do?
They're going to throw it out.
Think they're going to leave?
They're going to stay. And they're going to be leaving. They're going to go to sea. But it's a new one.
So they're going to leave the house. What do y'all think the president's going to do?
He's going to go to
Go to war? What do you think he's going to do when he gets home and sees all his stuff burned?
He's going to go
Raise all hands. I can't hear everybody. Hey, Jay.
Give me 5.
He's going to what? Get a new house? Okay, what do you think, Armand? He's going to send his troops to war? What do you think, Renee?
He's going to rent a new house.
Rent a new house? Okay. What do you think, Archie? Move to New York?
No.
Those are pretty good. Those are pretty good.
Okay, hey, give me 5 real quick. Give me 5. Go on, give me 5. Thank you, Cortez. Thank you, Cameron. Thank you, Armand. Hey, when she's talking and when your student other friends are talking, You should not be talking, right? You don't want to talk when you're talking, so don't talk when they are. Okay, let's go ahead and read the next page. Then the British marched away. They did not care to take over the city. They just planned to burn it. Burning the city would be a heavy blow. The British hoped the Americans might feel like there was no longer hope and stop fighting. Later that day, a storm rolled in. The rain stopped most of the fires, but it was too late. Many of the buildings were already lost. Later in the week, the Madisons came home. The president's house was still standing, but it was a mess. The walls were black with soot. The windows were broken. All of their things had been stolen or burned. They felt they would never call the president's house home again.
So they went home and they felt like, this isn't our house. This doesn't look right, right? So, I mean, he might have moved to New York. He might have had to buy a new house. You never know. Like the city.
Probably don't even got no money.
They gonna build it. I tell you.
Hey,
Honey, quiet hands, quiet hands. Okay, let's pretend that when the British people got there, when the soldiers got there, and they started to steal all their stuff, what do you think would have happened if the president was home? What do you think he would have done? Well, let's hope you don't do that. Okay. That's okay. You don't have an answer? Irma, what do you think?
He gonna I think he gonna take over the city.
Take over. It is a city.
It's a
Well, what do you
country.
think he would have done if the British soldiers would have got to his house and he would have been there?
Man, I would have done it.
Maybe arrested him? Maybe got his people to come in?
He probably don't got no handcuffs.
What do y'all think his house would have got burned?
Man, I would have went outside. Man, get off my property.
That's a good answer. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the setting of the story. Does anybody remember what a setting is?
Where it takes place.
The plot was
Where?
place.
Where it takes place, how it takes place. Okay, so we're going to talk about the setting of the story today. I already pulled it up. Not yet. Okay, so what did y'all think the setting was?
Where it takes place.
Okay.
Here's your brain, Jordan.
Where the time that it takes place.
Why they got y'all?
Good job. The time and place in which a story occurs.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was a few settings in our story, right? But what was the main setting? Where did all of the stuff take place? What
The
was
White
it?
House. Outside. Outside of the White House.
No, what city were we in? Washington, D.C.
Very good answer.
Dang.
Okay, let's talk about this for a minute. Okay, so let's say you have a doctor, and there's a doctor in your story. Where do you think the story would take place? A doctor's office?
Who would have gone to a doctor's office?
It would be in his office. At his job.
At his job, which is at an office. Where else the doctors work?
Well, somebody else was there. What if James Madison was there?
James Madison was at the doctor's office. He might be sick. Where else? Where do you go when you're sick besides the doctor's office? Hospital. I like that one. What about when there's a wreck? What comes and picks people up?
Paramedics.
Paramedics. What are they driving?
Ambulance.
Ambulance. So a doctor might be in there. Those are good answers. Okay, so now we're going to practice. So I'm going to show you a picture, and then you pick the thing at the top that goes in that setting. Ready? What's this?
See,
Ocean.
The ocean. So would a monkey or a fish?
a fish. No, monkeys can
What's
be in
this?
the ocean.
A tiger. No, jungle.
A jungle. So
Tiger.
why wouldn't a nurse be there?
Because it can survive.
Good answer. All right, give me 5. Give me 5.
burn.
Okay.
It's air
So now I'm going to show
outside.
y'all some pictures from the story.
It was